March kicked off on the 2nd with the announcement that Epic Games, makers of Fortnite, now own Tonic Games, owners of Mediatonic, makers of Fall Guys. I have literally no opinion on this whatsoever, but I do think it's important to know who is pulling whose strings. Then later that night the servers for the survival game Rust caught fire, wiping the progress of all its European players. Somewhat luckily, Rust is one of those games where your progress gets wiped monthly anyway, so while it did come as a surprise, it's not as catastrophic as it could have been, and thankfully nobody was injured. The handling of the servers was outsourced to a French company, and speaking of France, Frogwares. It was founded by French people, and on the 3rd they pulled their game The Sinking City from Steam, claiming that their publisher Nacon had a pirated copy from another platform and then modified it to get it running on Steam without Frogwares' permission that they wouldn't grant until Nacon coughs up €1 million that they apparently owe. Nacon countered this, saying that they paid everything due, and with Frogwares refusing to cooperate they had every right to do what they did. On the 4th were reports of a beefier Nintendo Switch coming later this year that I was very quick to dismiss as a rumour mill regurgitating old stories, but after looking into it a bit more, I'm not so sure. I still wouldn't bet money on it, but I'd advise keeping eyes at least a little bit peeled. On the 5th, Emma Kent of Eurogamer broke the story of a lovely bit of emergent gameplay in Valheim known as the Body Recovery Squad. Acting as an RNLI of sorts, if you die in the game in a difficult area and are having a hard time recollecting your loot, you can drop them a message on Discord and they'll send a crack team of experienced and well organised players to help you out, which I thought was very sweet. It does seem like a bit of an oversight in the game's design though. If you drop all your loot when you die, you're hardly going to feel better equipped to try getting it back. I haven't played it though, so it's entirely possible that I am missing something big. But while we're on the topic, where the heck did Valheim come from? I started this series in part to try and keep on top of things in the games industry, and Valheim managed to come out and take the world by storm completely under my rather large nose. Last month I said that Watch Dogs Legion should get a patch so it stops crashing as much on PC in time for the release of its online mode, and on the 5th, that's exactly what happened, pushing the PC release date from the 9th to the 18th. I've played it, and getting to rank 12 or so was fun enough. With 38 more ranks left in this season, they better hurry up and enable crossplay, because it does get a bit tedious without friends. The 5th seemed to be a busy day as Microsoft also acknowledged issues with its controllers not registering button presses, completing the trilogy of major games companies being unable to build controllers for their devices that actually work. On the 8th, Nintendo Japan had to stop repairing broken 3DS and 3DS XLs as they finally run out of parts just before the console's 10th birthday, in Europe at least, on the 25th. I have many fond memories of it and probably still have mine if I didn't destroy it in an accident involving a scooter and a rather aggressive hill. On the 9th it became official, Microsoft now owns ZeniMax and its studios including Bethesda. Turns out when you want to spend $7.5 billion you need to get it approved by the US Securities and Exchange Commission as well as the European Commission, and they did. So the deal is now sealed, there's Bethesda games on Xbox Game Pass, and we'll wait to see what they get up to in the future. Also on the 9th, the Oxenfree ARG went quiet after fans got a bit overzealous and cracked open a website, finding some images pertaining to the game that they weren't quite supposed to find yet, that were then quickly removed. 20 days later however, and it was back on. The Steam version of the game got an update containing within some voice lines and Morse code that reference the images found. It's all very interesting to watch unfold. On the 10th, dropped the trailer for the first-person romantic metal detecting game, The Magnificent Truffle Pigs. Upsides include a Firewatch kind of vibe and Arthur Darvill, Rory from Doctor Who, voicing the main character. Downsides include it being from the lead designer of Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. But hey, it might be good, we'll see. On the 11th came a story from IGN about how the game Loop Hero had been downloaded 500,000 times since its release on Steam the previous week, and played for 3 trillion hours. 3 trillion hours across 500,000 players in 1 week. Yeah, so there was obviously some fudge maths going on here. It turns out that the stats came from the game's publisher, Devolver Digital, who are notorious for having a bit of a laugh. Their full statement also includes that when they first encountered the game, their productivity dropped 98%, and then goes on to jokingly clarify that it's a very serious matter from which they may never recover. It's obvious the kind of tone they were going for. And to be fair to Rebecca Valentine, who wrote the article, she also comes across as jokingly skeptical, suggesting that Devolver may be exaggerating when they say that players have completed 18 billion loops, which would have been at a rate of more than 5,000 loops per player per day. The issue arises with the video that I first saw uploaded to Twitter, which, while quoting Devolver, still presents their figures as basically fact. It's a bit misleading and a wake-up call to everyone out there to check if the things they read haven't been a tad misconstrued. The 13th, while unlucky for some, was lucky for anyone who wants to play the FMV game Contradiction, as it received an update improving the interface, controls, audio and video quality, as well as adding autosaves. This is the first update the Steam version has received since August 2015, a month after its initial release, and I've no idea why it was decided that now was the time for it, but I'm glad it happened all the same. On the 16th, GTA Online got an update, slashing its loading times and making somebody called Toast, maybe? $10,000 richer. Turns out that after over 7 years of NAF load times, people get annoyed enough to reverse engineer a game, figure out what's causing issues, and fix them. Toast then submitted this to Rockstar, who implemented it to all players and thanked them with their bug bounty real-world money prize. I don't understand the first thing about coding, but it seems it wasn't too difficult of a fix and something that Rockstar should have done years ago. But I guess when you're rich and increases, you can sit back and let the community do it for you. 18th of March, Square Enix presents. There were plenty of things I didn't care for, Avengers. But the bigger reveal was the slightly confusingly titled latest expansion for the Life is Strange game-ematic universe, True Colors. The third major installment in the series of now 5 games is titled a lot more like the spin-off Before the Storm, an issue exacerbated by the game actually containing a character from said aforementioned spin-off. Said to come in September, it will be available on its own or bundled with spruced up editions of the original Life is Strange and Before the Storm, which will be made available to buy separately too. Still following? There was no news as to whether these fancy editions will be available as updates to people who own the originals. Also interesting was the mobile game Hitman Sniper Assassins. It appears that after IOI's split from Square Enix was still allowed to keep mobile rights, but while their previous mobile Hitman titles were considered pretty solid, they were ultimately designed to funnel players to the then Square Enix owned main Hitman games. This one is going to have to stand on its own 2 feet a bit more. And finally, Forspoken was revealed to be the title of the game previously known as Project Athia. Personally, I think Forspoken is a far worse name, but it stars Heather Belinska of very underrated Charlie's Angels film fame, and a big dragon. So I'm in. On the 19th, Doctor Who The Lonely Assassins came out. I think it's brilliant, if a little cheesy in a good way, and you should totally play it. I will suggest that you don't read the real life blog first though, as you might end up knowing a little too much about everything going on. That very same day, Gotham Knights got delayed to 2022, which is totally expected. The game's in development right now, coronavirus has hit hard. And also, Disco Elysium's fantasy version, the final cut, got refused classification in Australia ahead of its release on the 30th for offending the standards of morality, decency and propriety generally accepted by reasonable adults. If you know anything about how Australia classifies games, I'd take that one as a compliment. And then the news seemed to chill out a bit, perhaps it all got stuck in the Suez with the Evergiven. One did squeeze through though. News on the 24th that Hitman 3 would be getting its first paid DLC, The 7 Deadly Sins. Essentially a set of 7 new escalations, many people have stated that it's not worth the £25 price tag, and are upset that it's not included in the already pretty hefty price of the deluxe edition. Cue many jokes about the Season of Greed. The monthly roadmaps of free content are also getting renamed in line with The Sims, and while nothing's really changing, this does allow IO to release content slightly more slowly, extending the definition of a season out to a maximum of 6 weeks, as opposed to the confines of a month. This particular update brought the news that the Requiem pack has also finally been restored to the game, and that on the 9th of April, the game will receive its first elusive target for the Hitman 3 level. With the suits already being available at Mastery Level 20, it'll be interesting to see what the incentive for completing these will be. On top of all of that, they've also announced the Hitman 3 Starter Pack, granting you access to the ICA training missions and allowing you to import levels from previous games, and unlocking access to individual Hitman 3 levels for various amounts of time. Say what you will about them, but do IO ever sleep? On the 25th came the Gaming BAFTAs, with Hades being the big winner of Artistic Achievement, Game Design, Narrative and Best Game, as well as another for Logan Cunningham's performances. Well done to it, from what I've heard it's incredibly deserving and I hope to play it soon. And last, but by no means least, on the 29th Cyberpunk released a list of patch notes as long as your arm, if your arm was about 800 foot long. I want to say this is good. If there are a lot of things to fix, then it's nice to see them getting fixed, but it really serves to highlight how incredibly broken it was in the first place. I'll see you again for April, but be sure to keep an eye out for my upcoming Sarah Jane Adventures podcast. My plan is for reviews to take a bit of a back foot while I get a bit of a podcast backlog built up, and then we can come back swinging. That's all for now. Bye!